Part 1. Introduction. The tax thirst of the monster. For decades, the golden rule for building wealth for the American middle and upper classes has been delay paying taxes as long as possible. We were taught to put money into 401k or IRA accounts, subtracting current earnings to reduce our tax bill and to bolster government protection until retirement. But there's a problem the government doesn't tell you about. They can't fight to wait for you to retire any longer. With the national debt exceeding $38 billion and programs like Social Security and Medicare teetering on the brink of collapse, the US government is facing an unprecedented cash crunch. They look at the billions of dollars sitting in your deferred retirement accounts, tax deferred, like a delicious meal that's out of reach. And that's why the Roth Mandate was born. Through legislation like the Safety Act 2, the government is implementing a subtle but calculated shift, forcing high-income earners to pay taxes now by requiring additional contributions, catch-up contributions, to be placed into Roth accounts in after-tax money. The government is implementing an early tax collection to fill existing budget gaps. They sell you a dream called tax-free retirement. They say, pay 35% tax today, and you'll never have to worry about taxes again when you're 70. It sounds appealing, but it's based on an extremely dangerous assumption that the government will keep its promise for the next 20 or 30 years, and that future productivity won't increase to the point where paying taxes early today becomes a financial disaster. The Roth Mandate isn't just a technical change in tax law. It's the opening salvo in a new assault on the assets of high-income workers. It's the government's attempt to push for the nationalization of a portion of your current workforce to pay for their past misdeeds. In this experience profile, we'll strip down the numbers behind the Roth Mandate, outline why it can be a major financial trap, and how you can reposition yourself before the door to tax relief is completely closed. Part 2, the scene of the case, Secure Act 2, and deadly changes. If Part 1 exposed the government's thirst for money, Part 2 will reveal the tools they use to carry out this harvest. The Secure Act 2, signed into law at the end of 2022, contains provisions specifically designed to target high earners. Section 603, a blow to those earning over $145,000. This is the hot weapon at the scene. Previously, regardless of how much you earned, you had the option to make catch-up contributions to your pre-tax account to reduce your current taxable income. However, starting in 2026, after delay from 2024 due to resistance from the wage system, a new rule will apply. Compulsory. If your W-2 income in the previous year exceeded $145,000, all additional contributions must be made to a Roth account after taxes. Loss of option. You will no longer be entitled to a tax deduction for this amount. The government has taken away one of the last tax relief tools for high-income earners. The disappearance of double benefit. Let's look at the practical math. A person in their 50 seconds earning $200,000 a year typically falls within the federal tax bracket of 32-35%. Before the new law, paying $7,500, the catch-up amount into a traditional 401k would immediately save them approximately $2,500 in taxes. After the new law, they still pay $7,500 but save no taxes today. The government is forcing you to pay that $2,500 now. Multiply that by millions of high-income earners across the United States, and you'll see a massive flow of money going directly into the national budget to cover the deficit, instead of sitting in your investment account earning interest. The backdoor Roth loophole is being squeezed. For years, backdoor Roth and mega backdoor Roth strategies were escape routes for those with excessively high incomes who weren't allowed to contribute directly to Roth IRAs. Secure Act 2 and its accompanying budget proposals are gradually tightening the noose around these strategies. Although the law doesn't completely prohibit it, the mandatory conversion of catch-up funds to Roth is a stepping stone. The government is setting a precedent. If you earn a lot of money, you don't have the right to defer tax payments. They want you to pay taxes while tax rates are high, before the TCJA tax cuts expire at the end of 2025. The 2026 timeline, a point of no turning. Why 2026? This is the perfect time both politically and financially. The expiration of the TCJA, the low tax brackets established during the Trump era, will expire at the end of 2025. This means that from 2026, individual tax rates will return to higher levels, forcing taxes at peak levels. The government forces you to transfer money into Roth right when tax rates begin to rise. They collect as much as possible from your current income. Secure Act 2 is not a reform for the benefit of retirees as they advertise through raising the RMD age. It's a restructuring of the revenue stream. By labeling everything Roth, the government is luring people with the promise of a tax-free future, while in reality, they are carrying out an asset seizure in the form of immediate income tax. For high-income earners, the scene is clear. Tax escapes are being closed one by one. To understand why Roth's promise of tax-free future can be a sophisticated trap, we need to delve deeper into the asset seizure mechanism in the following section. Part 3, the core mechanism why tax-free later is a trap. Financial planners and politicians often market the idea of Roth with a simple scenario: pay taxes now to be free forever. However, for a high earner, the actual math is far more complex. When you agree to put money into a Roth mandate, you are taking a gamble where the government is the custodian house. The math of loss, the power of compound interest. The biggest mistake most people make is comparing only tax rates and forgetting the time value of money. When you contribute to a traditional pre-tax 401k account, the money that would otherwise go to the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, remains in your account. It works for you, earns you returns, and generates compound interest for decades. For example, if you contribute an additional $10,000 and are in the 35% tax bracket, you retain $3,500 in your account instead of paying the government. After 20 years, with a 7% rate of return, that $3,500 borrowed from the government will have grown to nearly $14,000. When the government forces you to use Roth, they are taking that $3,500 away today. You lose all potential returns on that capital. Even if you can withdraw the money tax-free later, your total account balance will be significantly smaller than if you had retained that tax-free capital for investment. The government understands that $1 earned today is worth far more than a few dollars earned in 20 years. The misconception of future tax rates. The main argument of those who support Roth mandate is taxes will definitely be higher in the future. But for high earners, the tax bracket in retirement is usually lower than the tax bracket at the peak of their careers. Currently, you are in the 32%, 35%, or 37% bracket plus state taxes. In the future, when you retire, your income will typically come from retirement distributions, dividends, and Social Security. You can control the amount of income you withdraw to fall within the 12% or 22% bracket. Being forced to pay 35% taxes today to avoid a 22% tax rate in the future is a clear financial loss. Roth mandate is essentially the government locking you into the highest tax rate of your lifetime. Policy risk. Government promises have an expiration date. Many people believe that Roth accounts are permanently tax-free, but in financial history, no government promise is immutable. Look at the precedent of Social Security. Initially, it was promised to be tax-free. But when funds ran out, the law changed in 1983 and 1993, making it taxable income for those with certain incomes. The government could absolutely apply forms of indirect taxation on Roth in the future, such as including Roth withdrawals in the Medicare premium calculation, causing those premiums to skyrocket. Imposing a wealth tax on Roth accounts with balances exceeding a certain threshold. Changing the RMD, required minimum withdrawal law, to force you to withdraw money from tax-free environments sooner than intended. Inflation, the silent accomplice. In a scenario of prolonged high inflation, Paying taxes with large dollars today to receive depreciated dollars in the future is a bad strategy. When you pay taxes now, you are paying with expensive money. When you receive your tax-free money back after 20 years, the purchasing power of that money may have been severely eroded by inflation. Conclusion Part 3, the confiscation of control. The Roth Mandate is essentially a shift in control. The government doesn't want you to have the power to decide when to pay taxes. They want to make an immediate harvest to address their pressing debts. For high earners, being forced into the Roth is not a financial optimization choice, but a coercive contribution to salvage a crumbling fiscal system. To better understand who is directly targeted by this crackdown, we will analyze the fake rich class in the next section. Part 4, the target group, the fake rich class. In press releases about Secure Act 2, the government often uses the phrase high earners to create the impression that they are targeting the ultra-rich, those who own private jets and mansions. But in reality, the $145,000 Roth requirement threshold targets the backbone of the professional workforce: doctors, engineers, middle managers, and consultants. This is the class I call the fake rich, the Henrys, high earners, not rich yet. Financial dead zone, $150,000, $400,000. This is the group trapped in a cruel financial spin. They earn enough to be stripped of most government subsidies and tax deductions available to the working class, but not wealthy enough to have a team of private lawyers and accountants to help them hide in tax havens like the super rich. The pressure of urban living costs. With this income level in major cities like New York, San Francisco, or Chicago, after deducting sky-high rent or mortgage payments, children's education costs, and health insurance, the actual amount they keep is far from making them feel rich. The consequences of Roth Mandate. When the government forces this group to contribute to Roth, they are taking away the last tax deduction they can make themselves. This increases their taxable income, potentially pushing them into an even higher tax bracket. The vanishing deductions. Current US law is designed to punish the rise of this class. As your income increases, a series of benefits disappear, phased out. No student loan interest deductions, no full child tax credit, and now no tax deductions for additional retirement contributions. Catch up. The government is creating an extremely high effective marginal tax rate for this group. Every extra dollar they earn beyond the $145,000 threshold is eroded by income tax, self-employment tax, if applicable, and now the loss of their retirement tax shield. Why did the government choose $145,000? This is a carefully calculated number. It's high enough not to provoke outrage from the vast majority of voters who earn less than this amount, but low enough to cover the majority of the professional workforce with accumulated savings, those most likely to contribute to pension funds. The government knows this group tends to be disciplined savers. By forcing them to pay taxes now on those savings, the government can rake in billions of dollars annually without having to formally announce a tax increase on television. They simply call it modernizing the pension rule. Double pressure, inflation, and real tax rates. The fake rich group is facing a two-pronged attack. On one hand, inflation raises the price of everything from college tuition to service fees. On the other hand, changes like Roth Mandate reduce their disposable income by collecting taxes prematurely. This combination leaves this class, despite their high nominal salaries, feeling like they are falling behind. They are working more for the government and less for their families. The Roth Mandate is the final blow that cuts short any hope of using retirement plans as a tool to alleviate their current financial burden. Conclusion Part 4. The bearer of the burden. Part 4 made it clear that the Roth Mandate is not a tool to tax the super rich. It is a tool to extract money from hardworking professionals, those who are striving to build their wealth through education and careers. Part 5. The government's end of the chess moves. When the government realized that forcing people to switch to Roth wasn't enough to solve its budget deficit, it began implementing structural changes to how retirement assets were dispersed. The goal was clear: to prevent the accumulation of hereditary wealth and force the money back into the economy to be taxed. The attack on stretch IRAs and inheritance. One of the most shocking moves in the Secure Act scene of the crime was the elimination of stretch IRAs. Previously, you could leave your retirement account to your children and grandchildren, who could withdraw gradually throughout their lives, allowing the assets to continue generating income and defer taxes for decades. The new 10-year rule. Now, most non-spouse heirs will be required to withdraw the entire amount within 10 years. Consequences for Roth. Even if you paid taxes early to have a Roth account for your children, the 10-year rule still forces them to withdraw money. This pushes a large amount of assets out of the tax-protected environment, forcing your children to reinvest in regular taxable accounts much sooner than originally planned. The shift in RMD. The government has generously raised the required minimum withdrawal age to 73 and then to 75. But this is a double-edged sword. Accumulation of a tax bomb. Leaving money in the account longer means a larger balance due to compound interest. When you are forced to withdraw at age 75, the annual withdrawal amount will be enormous, pushing you into the highest tax bracket at a time when you should be most comfortable. The connection to Medicare. This massive amount of RMD will drive up your income, triggering the IRMAA surcharge for Medicare. Not only will you pay more income tax, but you'll also pay significantly higher health insurance premiums. This is a kind of hidden tax, directly impacting those who have prepared well for retirement. Proposed property tax on huge Roth accounts. The government is closely monitoring cases like Peter Thiel. There have been proposed legislation aiming to apply a cap to retirement accounts, a $10 million threshold. Some proposals require those with total retirement accounts exceeding $10 million to withdraw 50% of the excess balance immediately. The message: if you are too successful in investing in a Roth environment, the government will change the law to reclaim a portion. Tax exemption is only valid if your assets fall within the limits they allow. Legal uncertainty. The promises of those who have retired. The core issue with Roth Mandate is that you are paying real money today for a promise for the future. But the politicians making that promise today will no longer be in office when you retire. World financial history is full of countries that have nationalized private retirement assets when public debt spiraled out of control. While this scenario is unlikely to happen in the US in such a brutal way, changing tax calculation rules, adding new fees, or simply raising the lowest tax bracket are all ways to legally seize assets. In this game, the government holds the power to change the rules even when your pieces are in a winning position. Roth Mandate and the new RMD rules show that the government doesn't want you to retire from their tax system. They want you to be a continuous source of income from the start of your career until your assets are passed on to the next generation. In the final section, we will build a self-retirement fortress, where we examine the tools beyond the direct reach of these legal changes to regain financial autonomy. Part 6, Conclusion, the self-building retirement fortress. In a game of chess, where the opponent has the power to change the rules mid-game, victory lies not in trying to play better under the old rules, but in building your own playing field. To protect the fruits of your labor from future tax demands, high-income earners need to shift from a tax optimization mindset to a financial sovereignty mindset. The three baskets strategy. The biggest mistake high earners make is putting all their eggs in one basket, usually the traditional 401k, or now being forced to switch to Roth. A solid financial fortress must have a diversification of tax forms. Taxable basket, regular securities accounts. Although you pay annual taxes on dividends, this is where you have absolute control. You can sell, mortgage on, or transfer property without government permission or waiting until age 59.5. Tax-deferred basket. Continue to take advantage of traditional 401k IRA contributions up to the maximum allowed before the Roth requirement. This is a tool to reduce taxes at the highest current bracket. Tax-free basket includes Roth IRAs and especially tools outside the standard retirement tax code. Tools out of reach of the Secure Act. The government can easily change the rules of 401k or IRA because they are government-established programs. To build a fortress, you need structures based on civil law and contracts. LIRP, Life Insurance Retirement Plan, properly designed life insurance policies such as IUL or whole life. This is the magic bag for high earners. Tax-free growth money, which you can withdraw as tax-free loans, and it doesn't count toward Medicare's IRMA formula. Most importantly, it has no contribution limits like Roth and no mandatory RMD rules. Cash flow real estate. Real estate provides depreciation, one of the strongest tax shields remaining. It generates real income that is generally unaffected by changes in retirement laws. Trusts. Use irrevocable trusts to protect assets from estate taxes and the harsh 10-year withdrawal rules that the Secure Act applied to heirs. Thinking about financial sovereignty. The Roth Mandate is a reminder that the money in your retirement account is essentially a jointly owned asset between you and the government. They allow you to keep it, but they retain the right to decide when and how much of it they will take away. True freedom comes from having income streams that are not dependent on political variables. Instead of worrying about what the tax bracket will be in 2045, focus on owning real assets and diversified cash flows. When you're no longer locked into a single system, legal changes like Secure Act 2 will only be small ripples instead of tsunamis. The Roth Mandate is not the last trap. As public debt continues to rise, there will be Secure Act 3, 4, and more. The high-income class will always be the first gold mine for governments to exploit whenever budgets are strained. Remember, governments don't want you to become poor. They just want you not to become so rich that you can be completely self-sufficient. By forcing you into Roth, they are trying to turn you into a regular, prepaid taxpayer. It's time to stop being a victim of tax policies and start becoming the architect of your own future. Your retirement fortress doesn't lie in the government's promises of tax exemptions. It lies in understanding, flexibility, and the ability to act before the rules of the game change again.